At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Steven! Just left the Allenza-Palooza event, and guess what? RAWtalk is for the kids. A 10-year-old listens to RAWtalk. I apologize to his dad for all the things that you say that are wrong. Not me. I'm perfectly fine. And guess what the kid pulled out of his pocket to give me? Yeah. Skittles. A bag of Skittles. See? Kids like us, Steven. Kids, I don't know about you, but they like me. You just got to stop cursing on RAWtalk, Steven, and then they'll like you more. Okay, bye.
Steven, before I get into the kid who gave me Skittles, I'm just going to tell his dad to put earmuffs on his kid for just a second, because I just got this camera in the mail. You can see it right here. This is that new Canon V10 vlogging camera.
Ooh, revolutionary.
No, yeah, revolutionary, my ass. But actually, it kind of looks like it's a one of those recorders, one of those, what are they called?
Oh, like a Zoom like H6 or something like that,
yeah,
or H4n.
It has the microphones at the top.
It does look like that.
We're going to talk about this at the end, but the reason I'm bringing this up is FedEx was dropping this off. I knew FedEx was coming by 10:30 a.m. They showed up at what? 10:27 is when they showed up. So that's fine. It's before 10:30.
Sure.
I have the 100 to 300 Canon to go back to Canon, sitting there waiting, packed up with an express label on it. The woman rings the doorbell. She hands me the package, and I say, I've got one to go.
And she's FedEx Express, correct?
She's FedEx Express.
Because I know they can only take Express.
It only take Express.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've got this one. Thank you. And I've got one to go. She's like, I can't take it. And I'm like, why can't you take it? It's an express box with a label on it. You're Fed Express. You have to call it in. I'm like, why? Scan the fucking box, take the fucking box back to the facility and ship it. That's your fucking job, earmuffs.
I mean, I'm sure protocol is to actually schedule a delivery and a pickup, all of that, and then she has an exact schedule for the day, but I'm sure they can make exceptions.
You're here.
You're already here. Now you're doing double the work, and you have to come back to pick up the package. I'm sure there's a manual override. They can put it in themselves. Lazy.
She's probably hoping that someone else will have to do it because it creates more work. See, this is the problem. If UPS shows up at my door and drops a package off and I've got 10 to go, guess what they do? They take 10 packages to go.
Yep.
I also have a rapport with my UPS drivers. I do not actually call them in. I text the UPS driver and say, are you coming around? Because I know they're in the neighborhood. UPS wants to charge you $8 every time they come pick up a package and you call it in. I'm like, oh, wow. Fuck you, asshole.
Why do you have a rapport with UPS but not FedEx?
I did. We used to have that one FedEx driver guy who was always the FedEx driver before the pandemic.
So now FedEx is just completely random people every single time? It's not the same?
Usually it's going to be different people dropping off for Express, and the ground are the worst. They are terrible. But it makes...
and FedEx now, is always in like unmarked cars half the time too.
Now I've got to call this in and wait. And so I'm like, just take the box. Just take it back to the facility after your drop-offs. That's your job.
Yeah.
Why would you not take it? So that's the shit that just pisses you off when you're doing business with someone and they do that. I mean, it also leads into me being pissed off about the water thing, which I'm not going to get into right now. If we have time, we're going to talk about me getting water at the bar, but maybe I'll do that after the Skittles kid. You can take your earmuffs off again. Gave me Skittles. 10-year-old kid listens to the show with his dad. How cool's that?
That's awesome.
He was at Allenza.
He just learned some new curse words too.
His dad, I apologized for you because I'm like, I'm just going to apologize for Steven and all the curses that he does. So he's like, it's all right. It goes right over his head. I'm like, that's fine. That's fine, but I'm sorry anyway. But I really shouldn't be cursing that much.
I mean we're not dropping F-bombs like every second. It's
I dropped
sparingly, but
3 or 4 already about FedEx.
3 minutes in.
3 minutes in, I already said it 4 times.
We're not dropping F-bombs all the time.
No, typically not usually. But no, it was really cool. Went out there. They had Canon was there.
I wanted to go.
Nikon was there. Sony was there. Fuji was there, which I'd love to get a Fuji medium format to shoot a baseball game. I'm going to make a note right here. Fuji medium format baseball.
Doesn't Richie have one?
Yeah,
does he have the 50 megapixel or the 100, the GFX?
I think he has the baby one. I don't think he got the 100.
Fuji is not really true medium format. It's like in between medium format and full frame.
Yeah,
sensor
something like that.
Yeah.
I would love to use a Hasselblad to shoot baseball. I'd love to shoot anything different just because it's different and a challenge.
What's the frame rate, though, on those big boys? It's got to be slow.
Like 1 a second?
Yeah. The quality's probably amazing, though.
But yeah, the quality is fantastic. My NASA photo of me at NASA was taken with the 100 megapixel Hasselblad.
That was Hasselblad.
Gorgeous. Anyway, so People were out for Allensapalooza. That was fun, and it was
beautiful
cool.
Day too, right?
It was in the 70s. A bunch of people came out, and it was cool to see a kid who's into photography with his dad and shooting. And
they had free sensor cleaning too?
They did do free sensor cleaning, and I think they had some pizza because they couldn't get a hold of the taco truck this year. They weren't doing it anymore.
Bummer.
Or something like that. Since I mentioned the water thing, I want to go into that real quick. Real quick. I go to dinner before bowling. And I went to this place called North Third. It's a place I've been going to for a decade. And they always have different waiters, at the bar sometimes are different. And this is the second time. I posted about this and someone yelled at me, like, maybe you should have just asked. Anyway, I'm sitting at the bar. The guy brings me a glass with water, but it has ice in it. And I don't drink water with ice. I just prefer not to. For my teeth, it's too sensitive sometimes. And I just like chugging water.
All those cavities, yeah.
I'm like, could I get a large... No, all these cavities.
I like how it took you a second to process
fucker.
that.
No, I was very upset the first time I had to get a tooth filled because it was a crack that formed, and that's what they say starts to happen. I just had a crown, not a crayon, put on yesterday because an old filling started to crack around the tooth, which again, we submitted it for insurance twice, and they denied it and said it's not broken enough. So I'm going to go ahead and fight them. Oh, I have to make a note to send that in. This is bullshit.
You got to love that. You have insurance, and half the time you can't even use it.
No, they're like, it's not bad enough yet. And the doctor, I'm like, this is the doctor saying that you should get it done before it breaks. Because if it breaks, then you need a root canal, and it's
which
even
is
more
probably
painful.
More expensive.
And it's more expensive.
Yep.
So
this is a preventative measure.
It is. And I ended up paying for it out of pocket, $1,100, because I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. I'm in a fortunate situation where I can drop the money to do it, but not everybody can do that. And it's not like the insurance was going to cover the whole thing. They would cover half, but that's still $600, $550. So I'm going to fight them. I'm going to do it. It's United Concordia. They're a bunch of fucks.
Yep.
Oh, there's another one. Insurance companies are there to deny you claims when that's why you have insurance. So I'm going to submit it to my guy, send it to the people that I get the insurance through, and they're going to make the call and try to push it through. Anyway, so I did that yesterday. I had a crown put on, whatever, fine, good, all well and dandy. But I'm at the bar, and I go, hey, can I get a large glass with no ice? Because I drink a lot of water. And you've seen me do this before. And he pauses for a second, grabs the water, and goes... Okay. I wanted to grab him by his hipster fucking mustache and slam his face against the bar 5 times.
But the best part is people like that are very accepting about everyone. Like, oh, they like this because of that. Oh, it's everyone's different, blah, blah, blah. And then the second you ask for water without ice, they're like, look at this weirdo. It's like, really?
Well, and I don't know. He did. So this was the second time he did it to me. If I go in there a third time and sit there, I'm going to say something. Like, I'm just going to ask you right now, man, do you have a problem with me ordering water with no ice? Because every time I'm in here, you fucking give me attitude, and I'm not being an asshole by asking for water with no ice. And I don't know if it's because I don't drink and that they're worried about that, but
I mean, it's not like they're asking for purified water or something.
They have the gun. They have the water gun. He fills it there.
There you go.
It's not that hard to do.
Then there shouldn't be an issue.
It takes an extra second because you don't put water in. But guess what? When you fill my water glass, you don't have to come back as much because there's no ice in it.
Yep.
So I get 4 times as much water, you douche. So the problem was I had 2 glasses. I had the one with the water with ice, and then they brought the one without the ice, and then they're both empty. While I'm eating, he comes over 7 times in front of me to grab like beer for other people, doesn't ask me how I'm doing, doesn't say, would you like a refill? It's common sense. When you're a bartender, you're supposed to have situational awareness that you refill someone's shit. I have no problem asking for it.
Literally their job, yeah.
But I didn't feel like asking for it. I wanted to see if he would actually do it, and he didn't at all. And it was fucking annoying. So I was in there.
And the best is they probably still build in the tip. So no matter what, you're tipping him 20% anyway.
Automatic 20%.
That's the thing. That's what happens, though. They do less work now because they know they're going to get that tip regardless.
But you can request they take it off.
Oh.
You can request they take it off.
Did you do
illegal.
That? Did you do it?
In my opinion. Yeah, I'm going to do it. So I did it. I did it once. No, I complained about the 3% back of house fee. I was in Maine.
That's my favorite.
Right? Portland. And I think it's bullshit. Just raise your prices, pay your people a living wage. And I said something. I'm like, come on, guys. What's with this 3%? Oh, well, it's so that we can pay the back of house. They don't work on tips. I'm like, how about you just pay the back of house? She's like, we can remove it if you want. I'm like, that's not the point. The point isn't removing it. It's not about that. It's about, why don't you just make it easy on the customer? Roll it in. I will know no different that an extra $1.50 has been added to the thing. And it's not about the $1.50. It's the principle of the matter.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Just build it into the price. It's that simple. I'd rather see that. I'd rather see the prices raised by $1 or $2 than seeing some bullshit back of house 3% fee.
On top of a tip, on top of
everything.
Next, I mean, even when they did a fee for, I remember this because I didn't do takeout, but they had on their website, there's an added fee for cutlery to go.
I mean, I get like waste in general. Like I usually don't need the cutlery. So I usually will check off, like I don't need it in the app. I'll check it off. I'll say, no, I don't want that. I don't want to waste it. But now I'm seeing a lot of these apps when I'm mobile ordering, they're building in 20% fee, and I have to uncheck it half the time when I'm picking up my food. It's not like I'm going in and eating in-house and someone's serving me food. Totally different. I'm literally going in and picking up my food and bringing it back for lunch or something like that. And now I have to pay 20% to pick up my food.
It's annoying. And I do not tip when I go. So when I go and get my walk work every day, which is I go in on the app and I go and I pick it up. It already charges you $1 extra to use the app, by the way. I just realized there was a fee to use the app. I didn't know that before on Toasted.
I mean, I kind of get it for convenience and all of that, and I'm sure it costs them money.
I mean, that's an extra $300 a year for me because I order it every day of the week. But regardless, it's ease of use, but I'm not tipping there. But anyway, back to the restaurant. So I go in on Monday with my friends, and I sit down, and this waitress, she comes over with a large glass of water with no ice in it right away. I don't remember seeing her before, but she's helped us before. So she's like, water, no ice, right? I'm like, yep. And then a couple minutes later, she comes back with a carafe of water with no ice.
Ooh, she won you over.
She goes, we just got these in. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, I'm going to tell you, the hipster fuck that worked here the other day on Wednesday, he was an asshole. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's not your fault. Not your fault. You brought it water with no ice without even asking. And a carafe.
True service. That's when they earn the 20%.
Right. Then I don't have a problem because they didn't get, it's like they're not trying.
It's great
they're
service.
Just doing the right thing.
You tip for great service.
So we've got a lot to come up today. We've got
Welcome
the new
to the show where we bitch about everything.
Yeah, I'm not done bitching. I just wanted to get into what's coming next coming up, so that I can get right back into bitching about this. We've got to talk about Midjourney. I finally used that. Wow,
I'm shocked you're that late on that. By the way.
I just wanted to try. I finally needed to try it myself.
Yeah. We
got the new Canon camera here that we'll talk about. And of course, we're going to go into super detail about the Z8 discussion now that we can talk about using it a month ago. And
we found out about it 2 months ago.
Oh man, did we stir the pot with that? We can't even talk about any of that stuff. But yeah, we'll get into all of that. Maybe the royal photos. And that's about it. But the last thing about this, there was a article on 9to5Mac that said employees at Apple's first unionized retail store want tips from customers. Genius Bar wants tips from customers for doing your job.
I can't. I literally can't.
Tipping culture has gone beyond too far. The expectation that you should be tipped. I mean, why should I be so surprised when...
this is an American thing, right? Don't they usually not allow tipping? Or don't expect it in other countries?
It's not they don't allow it. When I was in Paris, I would enjoy my meal. I would pay my bill. Yeah, I was in Paris, if you didn't know. I would enjoy my meal, and then they'd bring you the card reader to the table. You type it in. Unless you specify, can I leave tip? They will not ask for it because they don't, because they get paid money. Also, my buddy DeMarcus. Remember DeMarcus? DeMarcus Allen. I love him. He's a great guy. He's fucking great. He's been living in Paris for like 9 years. And I'm like, what's the thing with tipping? He's like, don't ever tip. He's like, you don't tip here.
Wow.
You just don't do it. And so we don't tip. You just don't. He's like, you don't tip in Europe. You just don't do it.
Because they pay their employees a decent wage.
But this culture of it's the same. I mean, it shouldn't really be surprised when every Xennial and Millennial, because I'm part of the Millennial cusp thing, has this expectation of work where they do their job and then they want more. It was that I shared the meme with my friend yesterday of Don Draper from
Mad
Men yelling at Hannah from what's her name from
his wife in Mad Men?
Not his wife. No, she's hot. No, his employee, the one who's on Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, yeah.
So he's yelling at her. Oh, can I just pull it up? Steven?
Sure.
Here it is.
It's your job. I give you money, you give me ideas.
And you never say thank you.
That's what the money is for.
Yeah, that's that. You tell me that's not
you, though. That is you. You always say that. Like, I don't have to say thank you.
I don't have to say, Dan, you did your fucking job. What do you want, a cookie?
Here's money.
Yeah, this is your job.
Here's a small 12% of change.
Well,
what?
That's
huh?
What?
Who?
No. So that's just the frustrating thing is that type of shit. The expectation of tipping on everything. No.
And hey, I totally get if you're a waiter or waitress or you work in the service industry, like that is expected to be tipped because you get paid what is it, $3, $4, $5 an hour now these days?
$2.33.
Well, I know that's
maybe.
what it was, but is it still that?
It's not better than that. No, it's still it's service jobs. It's bullshit.
You need to be tipped to make a decent wage there. I totally get that. Totally get it. But everywhere else,
Correct.
like freaking Apple Genius Bar, you're getting paid a full salary.
You're getting paid. You're not getting a tip at the Genius Bar.
Yeah.
And by the way, I tip 20, 25% depending on where it is. The guy that I go to on Wednesdays most of the time at one of the places I go, he gives me like a discount on something, and whatever the discount is, I roll into the tip.
Yep.
So it's just like
I'm minimum 20%. Yeah.
Yeah. And like when I go to Morimoto, I slipped the sushi chef $100 one day.
Oh.
I'm like, do you do this? And then I slipped him $100 and I left it down there and it was gone in a split second. I'm like, I guess you do this. And so every time we go in, we get plenty of extras, like these really awesome. He's like, I made this for you. And he sees my name on it. He creates stuff. So it's time that I drop him another 20 spot. Ah, shit. Someone's at the door. It's UPS picking up my packages.
The best delivery service. Run! Jared is getting the package, everybody. Hopefully he doesn't have a package to give to them that they'll probably refuse. And then we'll hear a whole nother rant about that.
I'm back.
What'd you get?
No. He was picking up packages. He didn't drop anything off today. He was picking up. I texted him and said, I've got packages.
Did you tip him?
He said no. The funny thing about that, Steven, you know, the old UPS guy, Ryan, who was awesome.
You would tip him with like Prince of the Phillies and stuff like that, right?
I gave him Flyers tickets this year. I gave him a
hey, you're good to me, I'm good to
gift
you.
card.
It's that
I gave
simple.
him I ran up the stairs. I gave him a $150 gift card to like Fanatics because I know he loves the Phillies and the Flyers and the Eagles and the Sixers. Cool. So I would give him Prince all the time. Anytime he's like, oh man, this would be good, look great in my basement.
And in return, he would go out of his way to make sure he picked up, whatever you needed at whatever time.
Yeah, he would call, like he would text me. He's like, hey, you around? Like, I'll be there in 4 minutes. One, that makes his job easier. Anyway, not screw tipping. I tip well, where well tipping is deserved.
Exactly.
But other than
that's
that,
the moral of the story. Yep.
The sushi chef thing is great. Okay. You ready to move on?
Let's do it.
Let's move on to Nikon later in the episode. Hey,
gotcha.
Yahtzee. So I went to a baby naming, and I'll make this one quick.
Oh, did you use an app to swipe?
Dude, you would have gotten roasted in the comments if we had a comment section.
Oh, I'm
you would have
well
been
aware.
Absolutely roasted that your wife wasted money on that shit.
It was $1 app. Come on now.
Doesn't matter, Steven. Every other but she bought the hipster pack for $2.99.
I don't care.
It's a waste of money that you could have spent on Chip, your real dog. A baby naming, a Jewish baby naming, I didn't know that we held a ceremony. I guess it's similar to having a bris. You like have a bris where you cut the kid's penis at 8 days old, but here with a baby naming, whatever. My friend, they're a little, I guess they go to synagogue and they believe more than I believe. But a baby naming is you go there, you have a bunch of friends and family there, you give them a Hebrew name, and you call it a day and you eat some food. Hebrew name is whatever, named after the grandparents and stuff like that. So like I have a Hebrew name. My brother has a Hebrew name. My mom's was good. It was like Shandel Elka or something. It sounded really nice. I don't know what it meant. Mine was like Lion King, Melech Barrel, Melech.
Not Mufasa, Barrel. But Simba. Baby Simba.
Do it again. His dad goes, Jared, you didn't bring your camera.
Wait, did you get invited for that?
No, because Ben and Lauren didn't say, they invited me. They said, can you come? They didn't say, would you bring your camera? Would you like to? Which when my friends ask, it's fine.
Sure.
If it's an expectation of someone that I'm not friends with, I didn't even think about bringing my camera.
I'm actually shocked you didn't bring it.
I didn't think about it. I was just like, I'm just here as a guest and all of that. But where I started to feel FOMO is when they were doing the actual baby naming part with the rabbi, and all I see is a person with a cell phone taking shitty fucking photos, and I'm like, oh man, they're not gonna have any good photos of this, and they're not, and that's just because I didn't bring my camera. Like, I feel like it's my obligation, but I honestly didn't even cross my mind this time before going. Yeah. So anyway, I don't take my camera everywhere. Contrary to popular belief, people think I do that.
Does it feel like work when you show up to things like that?
Not at all.
A camera?
No,
okay,
no, because I would take the camera with either a 28-70, a 135, or an 85, or just two lenses, and I'd be like, I'd probably take the 85 at that point, and I'd take a couple pictures of the baby doing the thing, take a couple pictures of the rabbi, the parents, the family, and be done. And that then lives on. So now they'll have no good pictures. It's all my fault.
For me, it still feels like work because, event photography is what I used to do. And I don't know, it just feels like I'm running around with my head cut off half the time trying to take some photos. And it always feels like work for me when I'm taking photos of like the baptisms or something like that. Glad it doesn't feel like work for you. That's good.
No,
especially when that's your job. You're with cameras every single day.
Yeah.
And you're not burned out on it yet.
I like taking it in the ass. I was doing that while you were drinking water just to see what you would say.
But you always try and get me when I'm drinking.
I do. I was trying.
Waiter, can you fill my glass up with water, no ice?
Fuck you.
Off. So we don't curse at all in here.
Let's move on to Midjourney. Yeah, I was a little late to the whole Midjourney game. I didn't even know how to log in to do it.
That blew up, like 6 months ago, a year ago? It was before ChatGPT.
Yeah, but it's gotten better, and I didn't realize you have to use Discord, do it on a Discord server. Huh. So I played around there, and then I paid them their $8 a month. I signed up for a year because it is mind-blowing what you can do. I'm going to show you, I'm going to say what the first, okay, I'm going to share my screen in a second. So the very first prompt I typed in was 1940s street photo of child playing in the street, black and white Leica.
And I noticed the more specific you are, obviously, the better the image is going to be.
Well, this was just the first one.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Even the blurred out cars in the background are just specifically 1940s cars. It's amazing. And the signage. You got scaffolding in the background, all the old buildings.
It's a street scene. I did this and my jaw was like, because it took like a minute to process.
Sure.
And my jaw went.
It's mind blowing. Really is.
Wide open. It was insane. So I'm going to stop my screen sharing because I've got more to show you. So that was the first thing I typed in. Next, I typed in photograph because I realized you got to do you can get more detailed. Photograph of a mid-century modern room in the style of Frank Lloyd Wright with windows and purple furniture.
That sounds like it's right up your alley.
Well, it is. But you tell me that a designer could not use this shit for inspiration.
Oh, 100%. I mean, this might take designers' jobs. What would be even crazier is if it actually used real furniture that it could link to or something like that to where to purchase it from.
I love this chair. I want this purple chair, Steven. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put this up on Instagram.
Even having
you guys can look at that
insane looking purple furniture, it actually looks really nice.
I know. So I said to my ex,
"Wow,
I'm like, this is mind blowing. Are you using this to make your job better?"
Sure.
And she's like, "Some people are already."
Is this
doing
what she does? Interior designer?
Yeah, she does like business interior design.
Okay.
That's how I got my $7,500 Herman Miller's chair for 53% off. I stayed with her just long enough to get the discount.
Oh.
Yeah, she got 52% off a Herman Miller chair.
So you got it and you're like, all right, we're breaking up.
Yeah. It's like, it's over. But they wouldn't let me get it in purple. They didn't have a fabric for purple or I would have gotten purple.
Everyone loves purple. It's really weird they don't have that.
Yeah, well, one day I'll get it and I'll sell my other ones. But how incredible does this... I know you guys can't see it right now, but I will... Again, it's going to be on Instagram. I'll do it as a carousel. You could take a look. It's just absolutely insane.
I mean, as scary as it is, because it definitely could replace jobs in terms of, like you said, interior designer or maybe even photographers eventually, it is great for design ideas, stuff like that.
I think it's incredible for designing ideas. Okay, next one. 1970s photo - realistic in the style of Jim Marshall, shot in black and white with a Leica on 400 ISO film at 35 millimeters f1.4 in 2:3 aspect ratio of Janis Joplin holding a bottle of Southern Comfort while lounging sideways on a sofa backstage after a concert.
That's not specific at all.
It doesn't. I think everything it does is square, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, you ready to see what it spit out?
Yeah. Holy shit. Oh my God.
That's one of them.
Holy shit. That looks like a real photo. Wow.
It does. The bottle is touching her fingertips and it's not in her hand properly.
That's what I've noticed with people, with humans specifically. It kind of warps sometimes, like the body.
It gets the hands wrong.
Didn't someone do a Bud Light commercial or something? And all the Bud Light cans were all weird and morphed and melted into the people's hands. And it was very odd.
Look, but look at this. This bottle doesn't look good, but this was before I put in more detail. But it's pretty insane, right?
It really is. Wow. It's even tinted. That's almost like a sepia tone tint to it.
Well, I said black and white. And
well, that's not black and white, though. That looks a little... they almost made it look dated, is what I mean. Like a photograph that's black and white, but old. A physical photograph is what I mean.
I tried something that was restricted. It was Stephen Eckert naked having sex with a pig. No, I didn't try that.
Did you ever try like in the style of Frono's photo or Jared Polin? I'm curious what it would do.
Not yet.
Just be an insanely contrasty Skittles vibrant photo.
Do you want to try this? Do you want to give me a saying and then we'll watch it process in real time?
Sure.
Here, I'll show you these other ones after and I'll explain what those are. All right, so give me a prompt. Tell me what to type in and give me as much detail as possible and we'll see what comes up.
Okay.
This is where we need to be on a video podcast for the future, Stephen.
Photo-realistic portrait of Bryce Harper.
How do you spell realistic?
REALISTIC. Realistic. Of Bryce Harper from the Philadelphia Phillies hitting a home run
at Citizens
Bank
Ballpark.
An ad taken with a 400 millimeter f2.8
400 millimeter
lens.
f2.8 lens.
And then put in the style of Jared Polin Frono's photo. I'm curious if it would do that because you have a lot of Philadelphia Phillies photos online.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure if they're tagged correctly or anything like that, but
well, I'm hitting go.
All right, let's see.
And we'll see what it does. It may take a second. But while we're waiting for it to go, I've got a couple more I do want to show you that I did. I tried to replicate my Frono's Photo logo.
Your skin looks a little dark there, Jared.
But I said a white guy.
That's definitely not a white guy.
I said white male. I said.
Did you put afro? Is that why?
I did.
That's
I said
why.
Cartoon illustration of a white male with beard and afro hair, with hair pick in it, with a Canon camera in front of his face, inside a circle with strong biceps, purple shirt that says "I shoot raw."
That cartoon guy looks way better looking than you.
He's pretty sexy. He's pretty sexy. That's a sexy bitch.
Definitely
right
a black
there.
guy though. Clearly not a white guy.
That's a black guy. Look at this guy. Where did you go? Oh, does it actually say Canon on this one?
No,
it doesn't.
It's some weird name made up logo.
It's not perfect.
It's close.
It's not.
So now the question is, could you simply save this and use it for commercial use? You know, if you wanted to use it as your real logo.
I pay for it. I pay for it.
Looks great.
The Bryce Harper one is officially done.
Let's check it out.
Interesting. Not very good.
I don't think it looks like a realistic photo though. That looks more like a rent. Oh, look, his bat's all messed up.
His bat's in the wrong place.
See, it's whenever they have something in their hands, if it's a human, it tends to mess up.
This bottom one isn't bad, but it doesn't know his number, and it doesn't say Harper on the back.
And it just says...
This first one...
Does it say Fanatic on the back for his name?
It may, but this first one, and guys, I know you can't see it. I'm going to put it up on Instagram as a carousel for all of these. So go to my Instagram before I started talking about this at Jared Polin, and you can see this. The background looks pretty cool.
It does.
Like that looks like a Phillies shooting pic.
And I would say it's a 400 millimeter 2.8 photo for the most part.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I could hit redo it, but I'm not going to do it.
But it didn't do it in the style of Frono's photo because it's actually a really good photo.
Fuck you, Steve. Fuck you, Steve. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that, Steven. You're an asshole.
That's great.
Anyway, I enjoy this. That was a good little exercise. And the last one I'll show you because it did come up as like questionable. They denied it. They wouldn't let me do it.
Is this a Holocaust image or something like that?
I did photo realistic portrait of a Holocaust survivor who's 90 years old standing on the train tracks at the gates to Auschwitz in black and white.
Wow.
So it denied it, and then I appealed it, and within a half a second, it said it was fine. Because basically they're trying... Oh, here's other ones. Wow. Explore related.
These are amazing. I mean,
These
again,
I
don't know if they really look like photographs, though. They look more like a CGI rendering, you know?
They do, but they're still amazing. Like, if we needed to make a thumbnail or we needed something for a thumbnail, we could absolutely use it.
Oh, yeah.
This is one that's pretty cool. He looks pretty realistic there,
That actually looks like a photograph, yeah.
but it doesn't like the train tracks are too wide. He's not at Auschwitz.
Sure. Yeah.
Not that's meant to be funny or anything. But yeah, that part it didn't get. But it does look like an older man.
And he looks Jewish.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, young man?
His nose might be a little big.
What are you saying? My nose and
really
ears are big? And I've got lots of hair coming out of my nose and ears?
Yeah.
How dare you, Stephen? How dare you? I'm a Jewish person and you're not a Jewish person. Here, I'm getting it accented down. Leave me alone. You should go back to where you're from, Stephen, which is Germany. Nine schnell. Anyway, I'm just busting your balls. It does look like a Jewish old man.
Yeah.
So we will put that up on Instagram so that you can check all those out. And this is where a video podcast would come in handy one day. What do we want to do? We want to do the Nikon or the Canon first?
Let's just finish off the Canon and then we'll go into Nikon.
All right. So Canon decides to make this camera that looks like a flip camera from the early 2000s.
It's the first thing I said when you sent me a photo of it. I'm like, that's literally a flip camera coming back.
It is. It feels good in the hand.
There's a reason why flip cameras died, though, because the smartphone.
It did. And this isn't great to hold. Look, there's no lens cap, by the way.
Interesting.
There's no lens cap.
Well, actually, no. Flip cameras didn't have a lens cap either.
Well, that is a protective cover on top.
And that is
you can't
much
take it off.
Smaller than a phone. I think it's, 3.5 inches tall. But
it's the size
thicker.
of an early Motorola flip phone.
Yes. Yep. That's a good
not
way to put it.
Not a razor, but it is
thick
thicker.
boy. He's thick, yeah.
It's a thick boy, but it's got the flip out screen.
And it's like a flip where you're holding it vertically, but it's taking horizontal video, correct?
Yeah. So that's the weird thing about it. I thought that if I wanted to go horizontal, I would turn it horizontal. If I think it should shoot in vertical this way. I know that that's easier to hold on to than this, but it should have had the flip out thing on the side, to be like, oh, look at that. I just actually held on to it like this. That doesn't feel good on the arm, by the way.
That's
to hold
the built-in
it like
tripod that you're holding,
which
is very unique and interesting, but the tripod should be able to almost be like a very angled tripod where you could turn it around when you're flipping it, say, horizontally, taking something for TikTok or any vertical app.
I agree with you, Stephen.
I don't know if this is. I mean, it's not expensive. It's what, $430, something like that.
To me, that's expensive. If this was $299 or $199, I think you would sell a lot more. But
true,
I have to see how the image quality is because I saw Kai Wang put up some video with it.
I saw too. Yeah.
And the video looked terrible. But I don't know if that was from his cell phone or just because he was in terrible light or he's just not good at making content. I'm not sure which it is. Probably a combination of all.
And so this thing has a 1-inch sensor powered by a Digic X processor, and it has face detection. And it's a 19 millimeter equivalent lens, right?
Yes,
so you don't
19 millimeter
completely
built-in battery.
Hold out your lens fully extended or your arm fully extended. You can simply just hold it up kind of like a smartphone. But obviously, it's going to be much better than the front-facing camera on a smartphone. But give it a year or two, I'm sure smartphones are going to have great cameras in the front too. There's probably Androids right now in the market that have great front cameras.
They do, but it's also tough. This touchscreen is pretty small to do the controlling of.
My thing is, why not just pay an extra couple $100 for something like a ZV-1, or an RX100 Mark 6 or 7, whatever they're on right now, where you have a 1-inch sensor, you've got a built-in ND filter, you've got a zoom lens, 24-70 or 24-120, whatever it is. You've got 20 frames per second still photos. Like, does this take still photos too, or no?
It does. They don't push that. But what I can't find right here,
I just would rather have something with much more functionality. At the end of the day, I'd rather just pay a couple more $100 for that RX100 series or ZV-1.
Yeah. The screen's pretty small. It's hard for me to really see what it says. From a smartphone, pair via Bluetooth. You can control the camera or use the camera app for easy Wi-Fi. I don't want to do that right now, but
I mean, hey, kudos to Canon for trying something new. Being innovative with this, a completely different form factor than what we're used to. Even though, again, it does pretty much look like a flip camera from back in the day. I'm just surprised they went that route because, again, flip cameras they went out of business for a reason.
Well, yeah, cell phones put them out. But Look at this. Look how small this screen is, Steven.
Wow, it actually has like a normal Canon menu.
But if you have fat fingers or just fingers in general, you're going to have trouble tapping these buttons.
So what is this, 4K 30, I assume, right?
4K 30, yeah. UHD.
And if it's Digic X processor, it's probably fairly fast. Is it a stacked 1-inch sensor?
I don't know.
Because the RX series and the ZV-1 have the stacked 4K sensor 1-inch, so it's fairly fast in terms of rolling shutter and jelloing.
Well, it doesn't have dual pixel AF.
No, it has face detection. That should be dual pixel, right?
Phase detection. No, but it doesn't have dual pixel AF. I asked
No, but
specifically.
I said face detection it has.
Oh, it has face detection, but it's phase detect AF. It's not their better AF.
Isn't dual pixel AF phase detect?
Oh, it's not dual pixel AF.
I mean, with a 1-inch sensor and a 19mm lens, fixed lens, I would assume everything's pretty much in focus anyway. Unless you're 2 inches away from the camera, you know?
I just thought it would have it, and this time it doesn't. So I'm going to play with this. I've got a couple of things to go do. We're going to surprise my nephew with like a Lamborghini thing, but I may take this to the Phillies and blog
Your
a
Lamborghini?
Phillies game. What? My Lamborghini?
Are you taking yours out?
Yeah, no. No. Because I don't own a Lamborghini, and I'm not wasting money on a Lamborghini, Steven. That's a waste of money. I'd rather buy a building than a Lamborghini.
Tesla or another building, yeah.
I'll buy another building, Steven. Dick. I'll probably take it to the Phillies or something, and I don't know. Maybe I'll take it to yoga. It'd be a perfect yoga for me to do at yoga, but then I'd have to ask permission from people, and I'm not going to even bother.
Is that screen just simply tilting and flippable? It's not.
It just flips
it doesn't
up.
actually
It doesn't
rotate
flip
out.
out.
Okay.
So in order to, I'm going to show you this. In order to go horizontal.
I assume the audio is really solid because that's a big module for the built-in microphone.
This is how you have to shoot vertical video. You would have to get it onto like a stand like this, which is like a handheld selfie.
Well, if you want to put it on a
stand.
tripod, you mean?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if you want to shoot vertical video, turn it sideways and do like a TikTok dance.
Yeah, like
you can't
if
just,
you weren't actually behind the camera, film it. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Fuck, I just dropped it.
And it's broke.
No, Jesus Christ, it just fell out of my hands because it's so tiny. That's what she said. But anyway, I got to test this thing out. Let's move on. Let's get to the big story.
Oh, we can finally come clean. We've had the Z8 for quite some time, and it was very
we
hard.
had it for 2 days.
Well, we've had it for 2 days, but we've known about it for 2 months. I think we got briefed about 2 months ago, and then almost a month ago at this point, we got it for 2 days. But it's very hard to talk about rumors and speculated, specs on here because we knew everything.
Well, we knew everything for a while. Unlike the guy last week we talked about who was like, I'm under NDA and I can't tell you about it, but you can guess it. That's called breaking your NDA, douche. Like, that's not how it works. So, yeah, we've had it for a while. That's how we work. Nikon comes to us. They're like, where do you want to go in the world? Well, where do you want to go? And I was like, we're staying home.
Yeah.
Because once they told us the specs, like we sit on these phone calls and they go over it and they're like, this is great. This is amazing. I'm like, guys, why didn't you just say it's a Z9?
First question I had was, what's different? And there wasn't a big response to that.
There's nothing different. I mean, we know there's nothing different.
Minor differences, yeah.
Software type of things, which don't even matter in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought was, wow, this is uninspiring, or this is, I'm like, well, guys, it's twofold.
Exactly.
One, it's pretty amazing that you made a $4,000 body with the same exact features
flagship
as
features.
the $5,500 body.
Yep.
So you have flagship features for the exact same thing. Now, the disappointing part is that camera's been out for a year and a half. And all you did was take the old shit and put it into a new camera without updating anything at all. So now this camera's even further behind down the road for the next couple of years.
My big thing was, why not do some simple minor improvements? Kind of like if you were doing a D4 versus a D4S. It's basically the same camera, but just incremental updates, very minor updates.
Like what?
Like I wanted to have, say, a higher res EVF or a higher res touchscreen. Like their EVF is behind the other cameras, for example. It's 3.69 million dots. And I can tell when I look at, say, an R5 or an R3 EVF versus the Z8, it definitely is a difference for me. And especially the refresh rate. They claim 120 frames per second refresh rate. I don't know. I feel like the R5 and R3 have a much higher refresh rate. Also, the addition of a digital hot shoe. Why didn't they have a digital hot shoe like every other camera brand at this point? I mean, these are just basic things that you should be adding to your cameras. Dual video recording. Why can't you record to both card slots video? I know you couldn't with the Z9, but that has to be a simple firmware update. Just a lot of those things. I wish they would have just added very minor, again, incremental updates to this camera just to make it a little more future-proof. Because now you're dealing with a year and a half old tech that's going to be even more outdated, 2 years from now.
Well, it's a year and a half old by the time it comes out, but
Exactly.
it's also like 4 years in development. I think they rush these developments. Now, it's a really good option for a Nikon shooter.
Of course.
There's lots of great lens options. You have the full
best
lineup.
option, really, yeah.
That part's great, but then it comes to using it. And It used exactly as I expected. If you haven't seen our hands-on real-world preview just yet, go watch it. Steven did a great job getting that shot and edited and making it look great. And honestly, I think it's the best, most thorough. I think all of our reviews are the best, most thorough compared to everybody else. I do. I take pride in that, Steven.
Trust me too. We spend a lot of time going through the outline and reviewing the footage, reviewing the EVF footage, reviewing the photos, making sure, we have a full, detailed review or preview, whatever you want to call it.
Where we actually share an opinion, unlike just about everybody else who puts out videos, just stands there for 15 minutes and just sits there and tells you dumb shit. It's like, well, and doesn't show any examples. It's like most of these places don't show examples. Most of these people, they don't go out and shoot. They go out and shoot, but then they never show you what it looks like. Or when they show you these pictures, you're like, really? That's the picture that you got?
And when we do something like the EVF montage, where we show footage from the recorder of what you were seeing while you were using the autofocus, I tried to show a little bit of everything: the good, the bad, the indifferent, everything in between. And hey, it's great certain times, and it's terrible sometimes. It's not spot on like most of the time we see with the Canons and the Sonys. So there's still a lot of improvement that needs to be made. But again, the autofocus does still work great for the most part. It's just not on par with the other manufacturers just yet.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But I'm like, guys, there's a Phillies game. I want to go shoot the Phillies game.
Oh.
They're like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that because they want to be everywhere where it is.
So we shot college softball at St. Joe's University, and we didn't realize until the day we showed up that they were actually...
No, I knew it.
I didn't know it. And the Nikon guys didn't know it either. We didn't realize they were live streaming the event, and clearly me and Jared are in the background with these new cameras. Now, I assume 10 people are watching this stream on like ESPN Plus.
First
it's college
off, it's women's softball.
Exactly.
It's women's softball, which I love.
Not to downplay it, but I'm just saying, how many people are watching women's softball on a college women's softball
at 2:30
on a Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it was,
or whatever day it was.
Yeah.
No, I love women's. I just love women's. I love softball players. They're my favorite. Well, no, volleyball players are a little bit more my favorite, but I do love those softball players.
But I will say the Nikon rep was definitely a little nervous about us, the event being live streamed and the possibility of us showing up somewhere. And
What did you tell me? What'd you tell me? You came over to me when I was behind the home plate, and you're like, "What did you say? What did he want? What was his request?"
To keep it, I think he wanted us only to be there for 15 minutes or less, or something like that, right?
And I was like, "Request denied. Go fuck yourself."
Yeah. Well, he was also like, "I can pull this plug anytime, guys. Don't mess with me."
No, you can't. No, you can't. I drove.
That is true.
And you're not taking me out of here until I'm done doing what I'm supposed to do. No one's going to know what we're shooting.
I totally agree. I don't blame him for being nervous, though, because that's his ass on the line. Anyway, we shot softball. We also did the Will Yip recording studio, which was great for low light because that's absolutely trash lighting. I think you were at, like 8,000 ISO half the time when you were shooting with a 2.8 lens.
For some.
Yeah. We also did the Muay Thai, which also was great. And again, it was like a cool environment, maybe 70 degrees in there, fans blowing. And I had that card issue where it was overheating. When I say it was overheating, I was constantly stopping recording and turning the camera off. And then I would stop, record like a 30-second thing, turn the camera off. I was constantly doing that. And that's how I just shoot in general. There's no point in wasting battery life and just running around with the camera on or constantly recording. And I still had that issue. Now, I'm not saying the camera overheated, but I question if we kept shooting for, say, another hour, would the camera have shut down? I did have the temperature warning thing set to high. So if I had that on standard or auto, would that have shut the camera off? I don't know. But I will say softball, we were outside and it was hotter and it was completely fine. So
yeah,
and it was a CF Express card. They get a lot hotter. I totally get it. But I've never had a card that hot to the touch. Me and you felt it and I'm like, oh my God, that's on fire.
It was on fire. It was molten. It was the hottest card I've ever felt in a camera.
I couldn't even hold it in my hands. I was playing hot potato with it.
Can we come back to the autofocus statement stuff?
Sure.
I am so tired of people on YouTube, some who own a Z9, telling me that I'm in the wrong mode. They continuously tell me that I don't know how to use the Nikon camera. Why would I use 3D tracking when I should be using some other bullshit mode that Nikon has in there? They've got about 20 modes that are a waste, that don't actually do anything. They just make a box smaller. But when that box is made smaller, guess what it defaults back to? IAF, face detect, and lock-on tracking.
It's combining lock-on tracking with IAF, exactly. So you're using both, except that this time you're telling the camera where to start looking for an eye or a face instead of the the camera deciding for you, say if there's 4 or 5 people in the frame, and it's a lot more of a pain to toggle left, right, to a different face.
I'm using 3D tracking because that to me is the all-encompassing autofocusing system. It should automatically pick up starting with the face.
And keep in mind, that's also what Nikon specifically recommends. Every time we have a Nikon engineer or a Nikon rep, they always say 3D tracking with eye detection. Every time. That's what they recommend from Nikon themselves.
The reason I use that and say that is because when I turn on any Canon or any Sony at this point, they're in an all-encompassing autofocusing mode that will find a face and an eye and track it. Case in point, the R8. I took it out of the box, I turned it on, put a lens on there, then turned it on, and guess what it does right off the bat? It finds an eye, it finds a face, it locks on, and it tracks. And you don't have to ask any questions. It just does it. You don't have to fight it.
Well, I know with your R3, though, you kind of use it exactly like the Z8 and the Z9, where you have a general focusing point, like their 3D tracking point, their box, and then you will hover that over your subject of where you want to start to detect the eye or the face or whatever it may be. So you're still telling the camera a lot of the time, especially if there's multiple people in the frame, I want to, lock on this guy, this specific subject, and then it overrides and starts using IAF and face detection and, human detection in general. And that's very similar to the Z8 and Z9. You're doing pretty much the same thing. You're telling it where to start looking.
It just doesn't work as well. And that's
it doesn't
stay
locked on as well. I think that's the issue.
Oh, and that also brings up people like, oh, you're not on the sticky mode. How many times have I switched to that sticky mode and been like, this doesn't do shit?
And I've always confirmed with Nikon, again, the reps or the engineers, whoever's there with us, like, am I in the right mode? Is this where I should be if I want the focus to be locked on them? How they have the delayed or erratic or whatever that setting is. And they always confirm, that's the best setting to have for what we're shooting.
And the other thing people complain about is they always say, well, the firmware clearly can make it better. We've said this a million freaking times. The engineers from Nikon stood here.
Yep.
We're talking the engineers stood here and said, we know there's limitations to how far we can push the hardware. Firmware can only take us so far. Hardware is what needs to evolve. And if it's the same freaking hardware in the Z9 that's in the Z8, which it is, you can only take the firmware so far. You can't put lipstick on a fucking pig.
The Japanese engineers specifically said it's limited by the XPEED 7 processor. There's only so much you can do with the autofocus. I also saw someone comment and say you should be in like AFS when you were shooting Will Yip behind the console at the recording studio, and that's why it back focused. And it's like, but he was still moving. He was still like jamming out to the music and moving left and right and a little back and a little forward. Why would you use AFS this day and age when the autofocus is that good in almost every camera we touch? I feel like AFS is a dead thing. AFC is where it's at.
AFS is dead. Like,
there's no need to focus and recompose anymore. Like, back button focusing is dead.
Like, all you need to do is have the focus find their eye, which it does in most cameras, and you can recompose the way you want
because it's going to track the
while
eye.
It's continuously focusing.
And you weren't even moving the camera when he was there. You still had him just right in the center of the frame. Yeah.
He was right in the middle. You can see the focusing point. The box is on his eye.
And I saw also another person question like, well, it doesn't look like it's out of focus. It looks like the cinema display is in focus still. And I'm like, guys, if you look at the liquid death can in that photo, this black and white photo of Will, it's on the same plane as Will. You can't really read that text that says liquid death where you can clearly read the text on the envelope box behind him. Which, that's like 10 feet behind him, I think? Maybe 8?
No, it was probably more like 5 feet.
Or 5 feet, okay.
It wasn't that far, but it clearly missed.
Like, how can you not see? The text is blurry, and you can even just zoom in on Will. Just look at Will. His face is not tack sharp. Now, I also don't know if that was that lens specifically. It seemed like the wide angle 14 to 24 tended to back focus a lot on you, so maybe it was just the lens, but we've definitely had other times where it back focused with like a 1.2 or something.
Well, when it came to shooting sports with a 50-1.2 and the 85-1.2, it was not great. It would hit on occasion, but there were these points where you're like, why is it jumping to the background? And yeah, it would hit like 4 out of the 12 pictures. It would hit most of the pictures, but then you look and you're like, wait, why did it jump to the background to focus? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So you are losing something, right? It's not saying that the Canon and the Sonys don't do that on occasion. They rarely do it. That's the point. The Nikon is, again, it's a struggle. And I mean, people are like, oh, Jared, the camera's not all about autofocus. You know what? Right. It's not all about autofocus, but why would you settle for subpar autofocus when you can have better autofocus in a $1,500 freaking camera that shoots 40 frames a second? Yes, like the R8. You know, you just got to pick your system. And a lot of people have never still used the Canon system or the Sony system to see what real autofocus looks like.
You don't know what you're missing until you compare it. Yeah. And also I saw some comments about people questioning, you know, like which footage was what. I shot the entire thing with the Z8, except everything you saw inside the studio where Jared was talking head, for example, at the computer. That was with the Z9, obviously. We talked about that because it has the same exact video features, and it was the most up-to-date firmware, 3.1 or whatever it's on now. And so, yeah, that's what you're going to get out of the Z8. And then everything else I actually shot with the Z8, including the actual product B-roll of the Z8 when I compared it to, say, the Z9 with the grip and stuff like that. So you get a sense of what the camera can do in terms of video quality when you look at it. And I was shooting with ProRes HQ 422, which was awesome that they do it internally.
But what's your thoughts on the video after finally working with it and seeing it?
I still don't love, I mean, I just shot in the standard picture style. I tried M-Log out. RAW is just a nightmare to deal with because half the time you're in DaVinci Resolve, especially if you're doing something like 8K 60. And just RAW video, it's just always so noisy and just a pain in the ass to deal with when you're dealing with a 2.5 day turnaround for something like this. So I just don't have time to deal with that. So I did ProRes 422 HQ, 24p across the board. Just did a flat picture style for the most part. I think I shot standard picture style adjusted in the studio. And it looks fine. I just feel like right out of the camera, the colors are way too saturated for video in their standard picture style, for example. The flat is definitely a better way to shoot for the most part if you want to do some light grading after the fact. But the stack sensor is incredible. I mean, there's almost zero rolling shutter and jelloing. I could do super quick whip pans and it looks great. You know, there's no weird skewing of the lines and stuff like that. The focus was good. I thought it was decent. Now, you can get away, though. That's the thing with some slight focus issues in video because it doesn't always have to be tack sharp, you know, unless it completely back focuses on you. But I really never had that happen. So I did have it. It was a little laggy, you know, every once in a while, but you can't really notice it when it comes to video. So I really had no issues. And the same thing with the Z9. I really had no issues at all with the video. But again, I still prefer the quality out of the Canons personally, but that's also because I work with them a lot more.
Yeah.
All in, I think Sony's S-Log3 footage is by far the best right out of camera. And their standard S-Log3 LUT just looks incredible when you slap it on and almost need no grading after the fact. Where N-Log, you still need to do a lot of work. C-Log's the worst in my opinion. I think you need to do the most work to really make it look good. And then you have N-RAW, but again, I'm not shooting RAW video here, so. I think the project file overall for this Z8 preview was 1.2 terabytes. You know, it's a ton of footage that we shot. 3 separate photo shoots. The actual full talking head video, which was, 30 minutes, but I cut it down to like 22. A lot of footage, a lot of photos to go through. The pain in the ass part is just turning something like this around. You know, I stayed up to 5 a.m. to make sure we hit embargo at 8 a.m. on Wednesday.
Yep.
That was not fun. So, and it's because when we actually got briefed and took the camera out, we were still working on the ZVE1 preview at that time.
Yeah, we don't just drop everything to work on the, you know, for these companies. They're like, well, this is coming out in a day. And it's like, cool,
they don't understand. There's still a lot of other things that we're working on while we're trying to work on that specific preview. So we can't just, like you said, drop everything and do this. So we shot that stuff a month ago, but I didn't really touch it until this past week.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm sitting here looking at this Canon camera and I forgot that it's a micro SD card slot and not an SD card slot. That's a pain in the ass because...
And it's only UHS 1.
Well, but most
so when it comes
people,
to transfer speeds, it's going to take forever to transfer that 4K footage.
They want you to transfer this footage Wi-Fi. They want you to transfer it over to the app.
That's got to take forever.
I don't know. We're going to have to try it, but why? I mean, I get it that it's small and they didn't want to put an SD card in, so they put micro SD, which
that's fine,
sucks.
but put UHS 2.
What's this? Which card do I have here?
I think, for example, the Insta360 stuff, I think all that's UHS 2. And as long as you're using a fast card reader, it transfers at a decent rate. But UHS 1 is just mind-blowingly slow.
Well, I have them right here. I have the ones that we use in the Insta360. So
aren't they UHS 2 cards?
I can't. You think I can read what this says?
Yeah, the print is so small on a micro SD.
Dude, I can't see what it...
So back to the Z8, though, I am curious how many of you listeners actually knew that we had the camera. Like, if you could tell when we were, you know, talking about the rumored specs, questioning the date that it was supposed to be released. It's just so hard to play along with that and try and fake it.
No, Steven, there's no way they could tell. There's no way they could tell.
I know, but it's one of those things like when I listen back, for example, like I can always tell that I'm lying because obviously I know the truth and I can tell when...
I know when you're lying. I know exactly when you're lying, not just because I already know that you're lying, but I know how you act. I know how you talk when you're lying.
Well, you're the same way though, yeah. I feel like most people, like it's always like over the top when they're lying. They're trying too hard, and I definitely fall into that category.
No, well, nonetheless, we had the camera. I have it now. I have it because it showed up yesterday. You know, I'm like, hey Nikon, I'm like, please don't send UPS packages for first thing, which could be between 6:30 in the morning and 8 a.m.
Oh wow!
Like no one is here. They rang the doorbell at 7:59,
and Dan had to run over from his house to pick it up, right?
Yeah, he left his
Dan lives
kid
literally
at home
around
alone.
the corner. Oh man. I mean, his kid's what, 5 or 6 now? He's probably fine for...
I mean, he probably like, sit here and don't move or else. No donuts for you. No, Dan's kid's been good lately. Like every time I've seen him, he said hi to me and he
getting
older.
Seems
to be good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I heard he's in Taekwondo and he won a silver. He got smashed by some kid. He got smashed by some kid who learned something that they don't learn yet.
Oh.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen that. I hope Dan got video of it, but if he did, it was probably shaky.
So, and to go back to the Z8 and the camera you got, now that's supposed to be a full production unit. I'm curious, did you turn it on yet? Does it say just firmware? It's going to say firmware 1.0, which is the same thing that the supposed pre-production cameras said.
Well, I didn't turn it on yet because I didn't know if we were going to make a video or not.
I can always tell when it's pre-production because usually the firmware is some weird made-up number. Like Sony, for example, it's always like 0.974356 when it's a pre-production camera. Anytime it's 1.0, though, it's typically production, and they try and say it's pre-production in case anything happens. Then they can say, well, it's pre-production. We're fixing the bugs. At the end of the day, the Z8 is an incredible value. You know, $4,000 for a $5,500 camera, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's good.
Remember when we put the grip on and the Nikon reps were here and they're like, wow, I've never actually seen it next to a Z9. It's way taller, way bigger. The other thing about the grip is I wish it could take the Z9 battery because then it could be like the D850. It could have a little more power. It could basically be a Z9. But like you were saying, I guess just buy a Z9 at that point because it's going to be much more expensive to buy the charger and the battery. And
yeah, you're going to have to spend like a couple $100 for the charger itself and the battery and the grip. You're spending, that's like $700, $800 right there. And you might as well just get a Z9 at that point. I mean, the bigger question is, I saw some people saying that the Z7 III, maybe that becomes a much higher megapixel option. But what are they going to charge for that? $3,500?
Well, I mean, what's it sell for now? It's $2,500 for the Z3 or Z7 III, Z7 II.
Is it really?
But it's been out for 2+ years. That's probably why. I always thought it was like a $2,800 camera.
Holy shit! That's a $2,600 camera now?
Yeah, but what does it say instant savings wise? What's the MSRP these days?
Instant savings of $408.
So it's normally about $3,000.
Yeah, but when it came out, it was like $3,200.
I thought so too, but now if it's a $3,000 camera, they can get away with that. You know, then we're talking $1,000 difference, and maybe they give that a non-stacked 61 megapixel sensor, something like the A7R5 has. You could still play with that for sure.
We'll see what happens. It's still a good offering, and if we didn't expect what they did to have a stack sensor like this either.
Both excited and disappointed at the same time. You know.
Yep, which I'm assuming you guys are.
If I was a Z9 user, I don't know if I'd be pissed that, you know, I spent $5,500, but then again, I'd have all those features for a year and a half.
No, you'd probably be like, look, I'm not pissed. I've had this camera for a year and a half, and I'm more happy that they didn't add anything new to the Z8, and I prefer having a body that's built better than that with a bigger battery.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people commenting, too, that the Z8 took so long because of probably the Red lawsuit. I'm curious if that has any truth to it.
I don't agree with that at all. No, man. No, because they already had a countersuit, so they weren't going to hold to wait for what happened. I don't believe that at all. I don't know what's coming next for Nikon. We don't know what's coming next for anybody.
Or do we?
Or do we? You'll never know until it's time to know.
You'll never know until we're clearly lying and it's made up.
R1,
and you can tell.
Hey, look, it's the R1.
Shh, Jared, not yet.
Not yet? Don't tell him yet?
Don't tell him yet.
Don't do it? We'll probably get a call from Roberta L. like, yeah, try not to joke around about things, though, because people might take it as serious. We might end up on Sony Alpha Rumors. Speaking of Alpha Rumors, Nikon Rumors did not post our video, correct?
Yeah, I don't know why. They never post our content anymore. It's not like, I mean, besides us talking about them posting the wrong price, we don't really talk shit on them or anything. You know what I mean?
talked plenty of shit on him too.
Oh, just kidding then.
Nah, screw that. But the other weird thing was,
but they posted the DP review one.
Well, DP Review TV posted a video, and we're not talking about Jordan and Chris who went to Petapixel. We're talking about
Richard
whatever
Butler.
his name is, Richard Butler,
which he's typically on the press trips with us, with Jordan and Chris. He's more the tech guy.
He's a writer. He's not a guy on camera, and you can tell for 5 minutes of awkwardness, he's trying to be the guy on camera, and you're like, dude. Like, I can tell you've done this 7 times, and it's filmed with like a ZV-1. He did it himself, or a ZV-E1, or whatever the camera was.
I don't think he planned on doing that until the day of. I don't think he planned on actually getting the Z8 in hands, and it was very unexpected. At least that's how it came across on the video. Now,
except he was in New York, and he's from Seattle.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. My favorite was the comment section. Like, people are like, blink twice if you're being held hostage by DP Review. And someone's like, this is like the violinist on the Titanic as the ship is sinking. He's the last one there. Jesus.
Yeah, well, it was almost like Digital Rev TV putting out videos without after Kai left.
Yep. Kai and Locke. Now, I don't know what's going on with DP Review. They were supposed to shut down, a month ago? And Chris and Jordan clearly left already. They're on Petapixel TV at this point. Why are you still putting out content? What's the point? I think they're going to survive. I think they're going to continue on. I think Richard might be trying to take over the website. Yeah, but someone might be trying to take it off. The reputation has already been torn at this point. That's tough.
I know. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But what can I tell you? I don't know. You want to wrap it up, Steven?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Obviously, we talked about quite a lot here. You could text us at 313 blah, 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 blah. There it is. 313-710-9729. 313-710-9729. We've been getting your messages, and Stephen and I do reply to them on there, as we always tell you that we do.
Sometimes. If I have time.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, unless it's a stupid
they didn't write
question.
A novel. Yeah.
If it's a stupid question or a novel, I'm probably skipping it. My favorite is, hey, can I ask you a question? I was like, well, shit, man.
I mean, that is a question, though. you just asked the question about asking a question.
But I just read your fucking question. You should have just written the question, and I will determine whether you can ask it or not.
Sure, yeah.
All right, I'm going to sign off. This is we're 50 weeks of these, Stephen. What?
Almost a full year. And again, I just request that people, if you can leave a review, rate us on Spotify, 5 stars if possible, and also Apple Podcasts. Leave a written review. They're always fun to read.
Oh, are they, Stephen?
Oh, yeah.
Except for when they suck.
Yep.
All right, guys. Episode number 50 is in the books. Thank you very much for listening. Jared, PolinFronosPhoto.com. See ya.